Hello. This is the follow up for the series of videos that I was doing on building strong teams. One of the videos that I've already shared that you can watch if you haven't already is Three Secrets of Building Strong Teams. And then the other one was How do you set up your team for success? And one of the things that I touched slightly on that video is giving clear instructions. So I'm doing a follow up just to make sure that when we speak about instructions and how to give clear instructions, we're actually all on the same page. Perhaps let me start here. Giving instructions, I did mention on the last video that it's a purposeful activity. It's an act that is purposeful, so you can't just wing it because it's such an important element in your team. It cannot be taken lightly. It cannot be taken. It is one of the things that you do. So you really need to empower yourself in giving clear instructions. What makes it so important is the fact that it improves your interpersonal skills. It's part of your interpersonal skills when people feel like they can hear you when you speak and hear you with clarity. It speaks volumes for you as a leader. And when you feel like when you speak, you are being heard and people are able to execute the instructions that you've given out, it actually makes your job easier as a team leader or as a supervisor, a manager. Um, and so giving clear instructions would really eliminate confusion, frustration. It will eliminate communication breakdown because whatever you would have conveyed to your team will be clear, and the instruction that you would have conveyed will be received and executed as you would have expected it if it lands to the other side clear. So now the only challenge with instruction, I think people expect it to be easy. I think if you have a personality that is out there, outspoken, extroverted, it's easier for you to communicate with people generally. And so giving an instruction for you might feel like it comes naturally because you are already maybe having a strength with connecting with people, not necessarily communicating with people, because you can connect with people but still be not have the strength of communicating with clarity. Now, communicating with clarity also includes giving out clear instructions in the sense that once you know what you're wanting to accomplish and you're able to articulate that to the next person, it is such a benefit for you because then there's less frustration, there's less pressure on you. But when you feel like you're not empowered to communicate with clarity, and perhaps you are not finding the right words, you're not finding the right strategies, that could have a negative impact in how you lead, in how you execute your task as a manager or as a supervisor. And so this is one of the skills that is crucial. I think perhaps what makes it hard is the fact that people generally don't like to be told what to do. Um, just speaking from a general point of view, people don't like to be told what to do, especially when they feel like, um, I don't know, when they feel like their creativity is being, I don't know, suppressed or neglected, or their proactivity within the context of a team is perhaps ignored. And so when you give instructions, they tend to feel like you're sending them signals that are saying, I see what you're doing, but what is more important is what I tell you to do. And so other people don't receive them with clarity, not because they were not clear, but because they have a hard time receiving instructions altogether. Now, how do you know if you're a person that struggles to receive, instructions? Perhaps you might feel like they're treating you as a child and you are an adult. Perhaps you're feeling like especially now, because there is that gap, perhaps an age gap between the supervisor and the subordinate. Perhaps the supervisor is younger than the subordinate, and the subordinate might feel like, I can't take instructions from a young girl, you know. And it might be a dynamic, or not just of age, it could be a gender dynamic. Maybe it's a male thinking, why would I take an instruction from a woman? These are some of the things that are a challenge. They are a challenge before you even give an instruction. And so you have to think it through. You have to plan how you give instruction. Look at the dynamics of your team. Are people comfortable with receiving instructions? How do they receive instructions? Are they happy to receive instructions in a group? Other people get offended because you spoke in a group. I'm not saying now you have to be, pretend like everyone is fragile, but I'm saying those are some of the dynamics that you can always think of if you want to improve in this area. I know with me personally, I love instructions because then I don't, you know, keep guessing what the supervisor wants to get done in a space of a day or a week. I don't like things that are vague. I don't like things that are not spoken with clarity. And so instructions for me help me to organize myself. And so when I receive an instruction, it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't bother me. Perhaps I don't know what would bother me when it comes to instruction. Let me think about that way for a while. But I find that I've been in a team where I was a team leader, and I would give out instructions, and I would not feel like I am, I don't know, being heard, or actually giving out clear instructions. So I know the frustration on my side when I feel like I'm not being heard. I also know, I have the experience where I felt like my team was not proactive enough. They were expecting to be given instructions every day, which was quite exhausting for me. So giving instructions is not really about micromanaging or making, people feel like they cannot think for themselves. Instructions are important when you cannot afford to miss, or to mess up the project maybe you're working on. So it is important to give these instructions, not because people can think for themselves, but because when you are not in a space to actually deal with cleaning up with things that could have been just communicated with clarity, then that's where this is important. Another space that I've been is when I would be given vague instructions that make me feel like I need to be asking questions over and over again, so that for me to actually get the whole picture of the instruction. It was exhausting for me, and it was exhausting for the person who had to answer those questions. And so this way, this came about from me just wanting to ease the process of giving out an instruction for the receiver and for this person who actually gives out the instruction. So how I want you to look at this as I speak, I'm going to give you just few tips that how you can plan how you would want to give out an instruction and how you would want to receive an instruction. So this I love this video because then it covers the receiver and the sender. So let's go. So the first thing that I want you to think about before you give instruction is what needs to be done. Maybe say we're going to use the what, who, what, how, when, the W's, the four W's. So the first thing is what needs to be done. Be precise about that. Maybe for an example, I'll give you an example of sales. Someone has placed the order, and I need to give an instruction to process that order. Perhaps my instruction is on an order sheet, or my instruction is verbal, or my instruction is I don't know, it's using is using a media. We'll talk about that. So someone has ordered a dozen of flowers. Dozen flowers, that's precise. Dozen flowers, that's a what? And they need to be delivered to this particular client. I don't have to put anything other than just that, being precise. What of that we need to process an order for a dozen of flowers. And then what also I love doing is giving a little bit of background. Sometimes people, when they don't have a little bit of background, they struggle to conceptualize the full extent of the instruction. For instance, if I work in a resort and I'm going to receive perhaps a guest for your wedding, I have to give a little bit of background because we are receiving guests every day. We're receiving guests every day. So I can't say today we're receiving guests because that's what we do normally. So my what needs to give a little bit of background. We today we are receiving guests, international guests that are arriving for a wedding on Saturday. That's a what? That's precise. And we need to prepare to receive them in the most I don't know, in the most African way. That's precise. That's the what. And I've given this person who is going to be the receiver a little bit of background that there's something special about these people. They are international travelers. And another thing that's special about them is that there's a wedding, and so whatever I'm bringing in a context to the instruction. So a little bit of background, not too much so that someone is confused as to what is the instruction. So just one line or two lines that gives a background. And then how? So you have to be specific on how you wish this whatever that you need done, you need to be specific how you want to do it. Now, there is I mean, an option of just letting people figure that out. But if there's a specific way, if there's a specific way that you want this thing to be done, then you need to explain how you would want to do it. For instance, if I say receive, do you want people to to just the ordinary, these guests, they come to the front office and check in, or do you want someone standing at the door opening, receiving them from their cars, from the parking, or what do you want? Do you want the security at the gate to actually give them, I don't know, a map or something to welcome them? How do you want this thing to be done? So you have to be specific. If let's say it's a delivery, I want this particular thing delivered at this address. How? you know it's either it's hand delivered, it's posted, it's um how is it done? So another thing that you would want to look at, if you're still planning to give up an instruction, how do you want to send out this instruction? Is it on email? Is it sent through another person? Are you telling the supervisors to tell their subordinates this instruction? Is it a third person kind of instruction? So how is this going to happen? How is what you want done? Do you want it to be done? How are you giving out this instruction? That's so you're answering all the hows. By whom? Who is particularly who needs to do this thing? Who needs to do what you are asking? Is it the next person, or the subordinate, or the secretary, or who is supposed to do this? And are you speaking to them directly as you give an instruction, or you're talking to the next person? Be specific. One of the things that I've always seen with teams is, um, the vague instruction will go out and say, oh, we need to take out the boxes from the storeroom, you know, and then members of the team, nobody wants to go take out the boxes because it wasn't specific that who is supposed to take members. Hey guys, everyone, can we go to take out boxes from the storeroom? And everybody stands up. But if you're not specifying who, you're expecting people to volunteer. And if people don't want to volunteer, then you get upset. So you have to be specific with who, especially with instructions that are giving in a group. You have to be specific. You could say, hey, can I see all the managers? You are specific. Can I see all the supervisors? You have to be specific, or who is supposed to do. Can we have all the phones recorded, blah blah blah? But then you're not saying who is supposed to do that. Can we have all, the inventory being collected and submitted to me on Friday? By whom? Who is supposed to do that? um so you can, if you want to be specific, you can say, can I ask all the supervisors to make sure that they do their inventories and they send it to the secretary or the operations manager by end of day Friday? Now you're being specific, who is involved, how, everything, you're being specific. And then the next thing is, where is this thing here, offsite, on site or off site? Where is it done? Is it at the shopping center? Is it at the office? You have to be specific, especially when it involves something, that's outside of the premises. If I'm saying to maybe the I don't know, the PA, please order um some lunch from, I don't know, maybe I don't know, a supplier that you normally use, and prepare it at the boardroom. you know but if I say order lunch and I'm not specific and I didn't want it brought to my office where she normally brings it, and I didn't specify that actually I want it set up nicely in the boardroom, then I'm causing problems. I need to be specific. So even when it's something that is offsite, you need to provide an address. Don't just say this. Provide an address, the location, and be specific about the times as well. This is your deadline. If you want this done on, before 4 on Monday, before 5 on Wednesday, or this delivery needs to be in this address, before 5 o'clock. You have to say the specifications, especially if there is a deadline. One of the things that, when you specify a deadline, what happens is it allows people to prepare and to prioritize within what they actually do on a regular basis. But if you don't put a deadline on it, then you get to, I don't know, you get to be at the end of the list, and perhaps you might get upset when something is not done while you didn't actually specify whether it was urgent or it was for a particular deadline. So how you would want to then receive an instruction, you want to ask, if someone is not giving you a deadline, you may ask and say, when would you like to receive this by? Even if it's a slight, slightest thing. Sometimes we give instructions for something little and we think people are going to prioritize it because it's little. No, they're going to prioritize it if they think it's urgent. If they don't think it's urgent, then it goes on the long pile. So it's very important to make sure that your instruction from the beginning, it's precise, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, by whom, where is it needs to be done, and when do you need it done by. And so by doing that, you are eliminating confusion, you are saving time, you are also eliminating the frustration of back and forth within the phase of communicating your instruction. For instance, if you have such a little time to give instruction, or you are giving an instruction through an email or a cell phone, uh, if you put it in a nice sequence, then people get to actually just, you know, catch the system how you give instructions. That's why I'm putting it in the manner that I've given, so that it's easier for you to trace it back, even when you're saying, tell me what you've heard me tell you as an instruction. And people could say, oh, you said you wanted me to do this, this is how you wanted me to do it, in you wanted me to do it, or you wanted this person to do it, and you wanted me to do it where, and you want this done by when. And so when you have done that, it's easier then to follow up. I think the next video that I want to do is, how do you follow up on tasks, whether tasks that are generated from instructions given or action points from a meeting. And people meet, it's either they meet daily or they meet, depending on the kind of work that you do, or you meet weekly or monthly. You get to generate a to-do list or an action point, and you log it in. If you have a system that you use, you log, you allocate tasks. But sometimes it can be very frustrating to follow up, and it can be intimidating, especially if you're a person, like I said, who is very introverted, who does not necessarily find it easy to speak to people. And so that video would help you understand how to actually follow up without making people feel like you are nagging, or making people feel like you are not trusting them enough. So how do you actually follow up on the instructions that you've given without offending anyone? Thank you so much for watching. Well, if you haven't had a chance to watch the other videos, well, that's your now you have your chance to go back. But the idea for all of these videos is that we build strong teams, winning teams, teams that are successful in whatever that they're doing in every season of the of the project, in every season of whatever that they are doing. Thank you so much. Keep well. Bye.